Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Makbul with you at BTV World. In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the post-election scenario in Pakistan after the elections were held on the 8th of February. And there were, of course, different decisions by political parties with regards to the way ahead, as no single party emerged as the outright majority. We also, of course, saw a lot of allegations by different political parties with regards to rigging across different constituencies, protests for which have also been continuing in different parts of the country, particularly with reference to PTI-backed independent candidates who have called for the ECP to look into investigations into different constituencies where accusations of rigging have emerged. Simultaneously, these accusations have also come in with regards to different quarters by the PPP and PMLN as well. And as we move ahead, we also saw, of course, different press conferences being held by major political parties speaking about the way ahead. The PPP had earlier also held a meeting of the CEC, which looked into the way forward by the Pakistan People's Party, and also with regards to the formation of a committee that is going to be taking a look into negotiations with other political parties. We also saw the PMLN leadership, led by Shehbaz Sharif, also hold a press conference saying that if the PTI-led independent candidates are able to prove their majority, the PMLN is ready to sit in the opposition. And in a most recent development, there was the PMLN-led alliance from a sort of PTM2, also backed by MQM and Pakistan People's Party, announcing the way forward with the chairman of PMLN also speaking about forgiving and forgetting and moving on in for the sake of the future of Pakistan, and claiming that this is, of course, something that all political parties need to work towards. He also talked about the prime ministerial candidate responding to a question and said that he is going to be requesting Mr. Nawaz Sharif to become the prime minister. However, other reports have been saying otherwise. We also, of course, have the PPP saying that it's going to be supporting the PMLN's candidate, but will not be forming any part of the federal cabinet. However, there may be some inclination with regards to the PMLN and the alliance also backing Mr. Asif Ali Zardari as the president of Pakistan. So we're going to be taking a look at all of this and then trying to figure out what is going to be the future course of action and how different political parties are going to interact with each other. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farooq Batafi and Raja Faisal. We've also been joined online by Barrister Shabir Ahmed Shah, Advocate Supreme Court, and Mr. Muhammad Munib Qadir, who's the political analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of the discussion. And Munib, let me start with you with reference to, of course, the way that we have taken a look at how the situation has unfolded post the elections. Different parties, of course, have been saying different things with regards to the elections, and I'll come to the accusations of rigging in the elections later on. But with reference to how different political parties and the alliances that are forming up are now shaping up, what do you see in terms of the kind of government that we have? Are we taking a look at PTM 2.0?
In the last few days, ever since the election took place on 8th February and the results came out, with which we've got a hung parliament right now, as to what kinds of combinations of parties or independent candidates are now to form a government. And I think that there is some air of certainty that has emerged today after the press conferences of the People's Party chairman and Mia Shehbaz Sharif, and also reports coming in from PTI as to them envisaging an alliance with MWM and JI, which are not so mainstream parties. They are more towards the far right, which also then symbolizes PTI's disdain for the mainstream political parties. In any case, they'd rather not leverage their majority of the independent candidates that have won the election in order to get some bargain done with the People's Party and PMLN. So they see PMLN and People's Party still as the outliers, as the ones with whom they can never ever imagine being in a coalition. But on the other hand, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, who's announced that he's not going to seek entering into coalition government with PMLN, That I don't think comes across as a surprise because there had been soundings going on and there has had been speculation going on that the CEC meeting will exactly come to that same determination that People's Party should not be part of any coalition government. But I think that it's a huge respite for and relief for PMLN and increases their chances to form a government at the center to know that otherwise within the National Assembly People's Party seems to support their prime minister candidate and People's Party is likely to get their own president as part of the bargaining process. So I think that there is some air of certainty now and the 21-day time limit within which the National Assembly has to convene. I think that things are getting clearer by that time and we are reaching to some sort of a solution.
Munib, obviously, if we talk about, of course, we know at that time when PMLN was always asked about their policies, then at that time they were obviously of the view that they have too much to, of course, negotiate, and their policies obviously could not be implemented during nearly 2 years of that government, a year and a half government. So this time around, now when we know that People's Party is reluctant to be part of the cabinet and it would be all in the basket of PMLN, so it can be considered that this time around PDM2 government led by PMLN will be, of course, focusing on PMLN's own policies, and we can sort of expect that the policies they have to fix this country, of course, they will be implementing, and of course the cabinet would be all along with them.
I think that as far as People's Party not wanting to join any coalition government and not really wanting a repeat of PDM2, and that is something that Bilawal has said specifically in his press conference today, that just indicates that People's Party is not very confident about the prospects of PMLN's performance. Because I think that they also have to take a fair share of the blame of the, I think, less than satisfactory, and that's putting mildly, performance of the PDM government for the 16 months that it stayed. And this time People's Party wants to, keep a clear record of their governance abilities, and they'd rather focus on Sindh where they have a clear majority. So I think, number one, this is not going to be PDM2, but this is going to be a PMLN-driven political and governmental agenda, which in a way is also good, because it means that there aren't going to be conflicts within cabinet members as far as the shaping of the overall government policy is concerned. What they are going to do is that they are going to form an alliance with a coalition with MQM, that's whom their leadership has just met recently, try to get hold of other independent candidates who won the election. And in that way, I think they want to be the ones shaping the policy of the government for the next term, however long that governmental term lasts.
Right.
Yeah.
Barrister Shabir, with reference to what the PMLN leader Shehbaz Sharif has also talked about with regards to the PTI-led independent candidates being able to establish their majority, I want to know what options exist for the PTI to be actually able to do that with its electoral symbol gone and with the independents, of course, also open to exercising their option to join any other political party. Can we see the PTI forming any sort of majority?
And especially knowing the facts that they are still, clinging on Form 45s, and they are claiming on several constituencies that they have secured them seats, but of course they are contesting them still.
Expressed my opinion that it is unfortunate that PTI was deprived of its symbol, but that is now done with. At this point in time, the legal option that is available to PTI, it is in a difficulty because even if it joins the PTI-led independents, let's call them PTI-led independents, even if they were to join any political party, the given political party would have given a very limited number of seats for their reserved seats or people who would be elected. So let's suppose Wahdat al-Muslimin. I'm not sure, I don't have the number of seats that they have given or people that they have given, but the deadline for those seats is gone already. And even if they've given 10 seats or one or two, so the options are pretty limited if the PTI-led independents were to join any political party. I don't see them getting the reserved seats. So what would be the option then? In these circumstances, I don't see PTI forming the government. So it is also unfortunate that when PTI was given an option, they have categorically denied forming an alliance with even Pakistan People's Party. I mean, one can understand that they have differences with PMLN, but you need to show some kind of flexibility. You cannot throw the country towards a chaos, and I must appreciate Bilawal Bhutto Zardari's stance. In the present times, if any political leader has illustrated statesmanship, and this is something that we lack as a nation. I mean, if I were to look around, we don't have many statesmen. But Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, I must appreciate his political campaign. Throughout his political campaign, he had already given a from beginning. He had been leading from the front, and he had said that if he forms government, there would be no political prisoners. Now that's a fantastic statement. Even now, you look at his stance. He has not for once said that we would not sit in government with PTI. In fact, on the contrary, it is PTI. They have categorically denied that we will not sit with Pakistan People's Party. I don't see a reason. I mean, it would have been a fantastic alliance had PTI-led independents sat in government with Pakistan People's Party. So I think it's quite unfortunate, like Bilawal Bhutto Zardari in his press conference had pointed out, that you see, one has to avoid populist approach at times. And sadly, though he accepted PTI's mandate, which should be accepted, they are the most popular party at this point in time. But you have to avoid populist approach at times, and you have to look for the country. You have to look for the nation. Not everything which is popular must be good.
Right, and Farooq, with regards to this, and of course the PTI's PTI-led independent stances, and of course the party's progress or approach with MWM or other parties, and then of course refusal to negotiate or interact with other political parties such as the PPP or PMLN. Does this limit the way in which those PTI-led independent candidates can participate in the political process, and then also sort of contradicts the PTI stance on respecting the people's mandate?
Right. I think at this moment, what PTI is actually facing, or PTI supported independence, is the fear of people being poached. One has been poached in Punjab, and I think it was in bad taste. That was a very, very bad decision on the part of PMLN, because they already had the kind of numbers that was needed when you put together People's Party, PMLN, MQM, to form government at the center. So why actually go beyond the limit? I don't get that decision, right? But perhaps because of this fear of poaching, PTI wants to actually merge with another party. I was yesterday, day before yesterday, I categorically actually expressed my opinion that MWM has a baggage that is international. So perhaps they shouldn't actually go and merge with them. But hey, I'm PTV. Khan Saab obviously doesn't like us. And I would suggest that instead of providing him PTV in the prison, he should be provided with some channels that he likes, perhaps Press TV or perhaps RT or something else, right? And that will be very kind on us as well. But one of the privileges of working for PTV is that you are not sent to prison to solicit or to actually lionize inmates there, overpriced or overhyped, inmates. So I wouldn't know what exactly is going on in their heads. But maybe this is the choice of MWM is also a message that they want to actually be in a combative mood or mode. So they are going to continue, but remember, I kept on saying don't resign from the assembly. I kept on saying don't dissolve the assemblies, but they did it anyway. I kept on saying that don't go for long march. They did it, and then I opposed in May 9th also, but they did it. So finally, it is, by the way, their own choice. Now coming to the formation of federal government, it is clear that these 3, 4, 5 parties have actually joined hands, and they are going to form government. And they are, the name that is being suggested right now is Shehbaz Sharif as the PM. I was a bit dismayed that People's Party does not want to actually be part of the cabinet. One, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari makes an excellent foreign minister. The second thing is that right now, both these parties are actually reading their mandate as separate. But who are we kidding? Only one day before caretaker set up, they were coalition partners. They were referred to as PDM-1. So when people of Pakistan actually voted, they actually voted for 2 blocks, right? One was PTI's block, that is clear. The other one is, PMLN, People's Party, MKM block, and there you have their mandate. So the mandate they got was for their unity government. I would have actually been very happy if they had actually joined the cabinet as well.
Why do you think they didn't do it?
I think the same thing, because there were very harsh exchanges during campaign, which happens, but then politicians are politicians, they are supposed to overcome that, and they did not, or perhaps still there is some feeling. Then of course there are many people within People's Party's ranks who are thought to be pro-PTI, who actually joined PTI for a bit and then came back, and they are also suggesting that either sit with PTI, which is within their rights, and nobody owes me an explanation. I think they could have gone that way as well, but they did not. So they are going to perhaps sit outside. One question that was asked by Raja Faisal, and that makes a lot of sense. A lot of constituencies are actually in contention, and PTI has gone to the courts. If those decisions are reversed, then of course, presto, PTI gets to form the government, or MWM perhaps gets to form the government. Otherwise, we are going to continue with the same, configuration that we have seen, Sana.
Right. Barrister Shabir, with regards to, of course, the constituencies that Faisal also earlier mentioned, and of course how different political parties are talking about alleged rigging in various constituencies, it seems that many of these political parties have issues with regards to how the electoral process was conducted. What does that mean, especially when we take a look at the election in general, and how political parties, when they talk about respecting the mandate, should get together for a reinvestigation and reevaluation of what actually happened? Should that be done on a much larger scale than just certain parties talking about certain constituencies? And my second question is with regards to PTI's earlier announcement before the elections that they're going to be conducting intra-party polls after the elections were held. Does this in any way support their current situation if they do so now?
This is a very interesting question and a very important one, because you see, at times it is misleading when we see TV. And before giving explanations, let me say, I think by and large, these 2024 elections have been conducted fairly. There are 2 aspects of the matter. One is whether pre-poll rigging has taken place, and the other is whether post-poll rigging has taken place. When we say pre-poll rigging, that is particularly what PTI alleges, that they were deprived of their party symbol and level playing field was not given to all political parties. Now, I've been of the opinion that yes, there have been allegations of pre-poll rigging, that is there. But when it comes to post-poll rigging, what many of the laymen in Pakistan, when they see TV, any other TV channel, and then they show results instantly, with respect, that is misleading. Because as a lawyer, I tell you, I've been doing election petitions of elections from 2008 elections. So collectively, with experience, I'm telling you that whether it was the ROPA, Representation of the People's Act, or Elections Act 2017, both laws considered collectively have the same scheme. So the presiding officer on one given polling station has to do a number of things. He has to ensure on each and every vote whether or not that vote has been casted properly. He has to ensure that whether anybody can raise an objection, but it is not easy. So on Form 45s or giving the final on Form 45 may take 3 to 4 hours. And then that is not provisional result. Once that result reaches the office of the RO has to consolidate the result. That is the most important job of the RO. The RO cannot shut his eyes to whatever the presiding officer has given him. So he has to carry out a very important responsibility. So let's suppose, and I'll go very, very slow. Let's suppose there are allegations or the presiding officer on one polling station has rejected 100 votes. The RO cannot shut his eyes to the 100 votes. He has to, by law, open that separate packet which is labeled as rejected votes. He has to open it up in front of the candidates who are sitting in front of him. And then he has to decide whether the vote which is rejected by the presiding officer has been correctly rejected or not. Now, this exercise cannot be done in blink of an eye. It would require proper time. So for people who are saying that why is it that the ROs have not consolidated the result overnight, therefore it is rigging, I disagree. They have to read the law. They have to examine the law. The RO has a very important responsibility. The RO has to ensure whether or not the votes which have been rejected properly or not, because there are four important things. The presiding officer must stamp the counterfoil and the ballot paper. There must be the signature, second requirement. The NIC of the voter must be there. And then the fourth is that double stamping should not be there. The stamp should properly be on one given, categorically one candidate. So the RO has to examine all of this.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Barrister Shabir, very quickly about the Form 45s. If, of course, there are more than one candidates who have the same Form 45s in one of the constituencies, which is being question marked, then can we say that or ROs and whoever is in the position to, of course, decide upon that constituency, they have to actually go through all of the Form 45s provided by more than one lost candidates who are maintaining. Like in this situation, of course, we know that Jamaat-e-Islami and TLP, they have actually joined hands with obviously PTI now, and the PTI candidates, they are taking them along with them, and their Form 45s and PTI's Form 45s, they are obviously the same Form 45s. So in that context, can we say that they have a case?
You see, first of all, these kind of cases, and it is not just that no relief is being given to PTI or any other party. It is well settled law, and that is why if you ask Salman Akram Raja Sahab or Latif Khosa Sahab, they've been doing election petitions all their lives. High Court never grants a stay. These matters should either go to Election Commission of Pakistan or to election tribunals. And also, Election Commission of Pakistan very seldom interferes because it is my word against yours. These matters require evidence. So our settled jurisprudence says that, for example, whenever somebody loses, obviously he's going to come out and say that there has been rigging. Most of the times it happens, but it is my word against his word. So it requires evidence, and therefore it would go to election tribunals. But yes, there is one word of caution. In cases where the number of rejected votes goes up to 10,000 or 16,000, yes, that's where there is suspicion. I mean, the voters have shown that they are educated voters. They have gone to pains to trace different symbols to vote for one political party. They would not be expected to reject a vote and double stamp a vote. So that is where there is suspicion. I believe that, yes, if at all a commission is to be constituted, it should be constituted in constituencies where there has been rejected votes which increase more than thousands in numbers, yes, but by and large, I want to, through your channel, inform the audience that it is all right if overnight results are not shown. In fact, the law says consolidation has to be completed within a period of 3 days, or maybe it's 5 days, because that's not an overnight job. So do not just malign the elections that, well, on TV I saw somebody was winning, now somebody else is winning. You see, on one polling station, on one constituency, there are more than 400 polling stations. True. So if you show someone in the first 50 polling stations to be taking a lead, that doesn't mean that someone is going to win in the 400 polling stations. So it is a bit misleading when the TV channels report immediately in every 10 minutes, somebody is winning, somebody is losing. So I think we need to take a deep breath and have faith in the system. By and large, I think the elections have been conducted fairly.
Right, and that's interesting because there's a lot of reports, especially also coming in from international media and even local media that's reporting otherwise, and so it's interesting for the public to actually be aware of this. And Barrister Shabir, I know you have to leave, but my question with regards to PTI's intra-party polls as well.
Yes, what is the intra-party polls? What is that
question? My question was that the Pakistan People's Party had decided to do it before the elections and then announced they would do it after. And if they do conduct it now, does that in any way help their position?
The Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf? Yes. I mean, it would have been far better if the Supreme Court had given relief and had given. I've been of this opinion that you cannot deprive a political party of its symbol. It would have been far better if that had been done back then. But now you see the government has to be formed right now, and if elections are held before the session is called, they may as well do it. But if they cannot be able to do it, then tough luck to them.
Right. Thank you very much.
Sana, very quickly,
yes.
I just wanted to inform the audience that just now Maryam Aurangzeb has actually put out a tweet saying that Mian Nawaz Sharif has nominated Shehbaz Sharif as a prime ministerial candidate. And also nominated his daughter as the Chief Minister of Punjab.
So that puts an end to the
speculations. No speculation.
Candidate. Do you think that Mr. Shehbaz Sharif will try again, as he was saying earlier at the press conference?
Try again. Yeah, he will. But I think that when you have actually gone to the extent of putting out a statement, that means it is final, right? And that will continue, of course. Back and forth will continue. We still have to wait and see who becomes the finance minister, who becomes foreign minister.
Right. Yeah, with your permission, Sana.
Let me just say thank you to Barrister Shabir for joining us, because he has to leave, and thank you for being part of the discussion, Barrister Shabir.
Yeah, yes. Barrister Shabir, thanks ever so much. And we are going towards obviously Munib. Munib, obviously when we talk about the premiership of Pakistan, and if we talk about former Prime Minister, three-time Prime Minister, Mian Muhammad Nawaz Sharif, obviously people at large, they have been waiting for him, especially during the PDM government when things were out of control. I mean, it was maintained that if it was Mian Muhammad Nawaz Sharif, then situations would have been very different, because he has the experience, the relevant experience. He has been Prime Minister of this country for three times, and of course that matters a lot. This time around, do you think that people who were, of course, waiting for former Prime Minister to become Prime Minister once more, they will be, of course, sad to hear this news that Mian Muhammad Nawaz Sharif is not coming as Prime Minister?
I think so. I think that hardcore PMLN supporters are going to be comforted in the fact that Mian Nawaz Sharif is here. He's present on Pakistani soil, and he is going to be supervising everything that goes on in his party, and he still has a seat in the National Assembly, so he would be able to guide his brother through his own experience. Perhaps that's how they see it. But I think that at Mian Nawaz Sharif's end, The reason why they must have nominated Mia Shahbaz Sharif to be the prime minister rather than himself is because they did not want to give this impression that everything is being shared between a father and the daughter. And so, it's the uncle who is the prime minister at the center, and it's the daughter, as in Maryam Nawaz Sharif, who has been put forward as the candidate for Chief Minister of Punjab. So I think that there must have been a lot of brainstorming behind this decision. There were speculations that maybe people like Ayaz Sadiq might, be nominated as prime minister. So now those speculations have been put to rest. And what we can see is that PMLN is now envisaging President Zardari and PM Shahbaz Sharif. This is how it goes.
But Munib, can we say that there was time in the life of Nelson Mandela as well, that when he actually stepped back and he asked, of course, his party member to come forward and become the leader of the country, can we say that this is Mandela factor which is playing for Mia Mohammad Nawaz Sharif?
Thank you. You didn't call it Mandela effect because that has very different connotations. Go
I
ahead.
don't believe so, because there's that word, the N word, which is nepotism, and that accusation is leveled a lot at both the mainstream parties, PMLN and People's Party, that it's become a political dynasty, and that is one of the main, I think, points on which PTI used to target. Keeping aside the fact that within PTI as well, the sibling due of Zain Qureshi and Mehrbano Qureshi, children of former Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, were contesting election. But by and large, this is a criticism leveled at them against the Gilanis again, and all four of the Gilanis have won elections from their respective constituencies. So I think that leveling the nepotism allegation or accusation against PMLN solely is going to take away from the fact that that is embedded in every political party, even the so-called revolutionary PTI as well. So I believe that it must be strategic, the decision that PMLN top leadership has come up with, with the announcement of their candidates for prime ministership and the nomination for the CM-ship posts.
Right, and Munib, with reference to the PPP's decision to stay out of the cabinet, what do you think with regards to how this is going to impact the way the government is formed? Do you think that it's going to be a stronger alliance that we'll see, or a weaker alliance?
It can cut both ways. So in a way, like I said, People's Party in itself being a very strong political party throughout the history of the country, when they were officially in a coalition with the PDM government, with the PMLN-led PDM, there were a lot of clashes between them. And I think that without those clashes, PMLN could carry its vision forward, whatever that vision is, and lead the government for the next expected 5 years. But it also means that it's going to be very...
Munib, sorry to cut you, but just because they are not in the cabinet doesn't mean that those squabbles are not going to be there. If you're coalition partners, you can always pull your support from the government, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was getting. There's a lot of influence that People's Party will be wielding, because ultimately the PMLN-led coalition government is going to rest upon People's Party support within the National Assembly, without which, they cannot muster up the magic number of 169. So in a way, People's Party, even by staying out of the coalition government, it's a very, I think, intelligent move on their part, that they are going to be able to evade all the blame that may likely fall upon them if the government fizzles out. But at the same time, from behind the scenes, they are the ones who will be wielding power, and especially if they get a president from their party. So that's a position of considerable influence.
Yeah, Munib, it would be quite a interesting kind of situation once more, that if there is a sort of no confidence once more for the upcoming government, then that would be initiated by Sindh House once more.
Yes, and that's very much a likelihood, because like I said, that the government that would be coming to, whatever government would have come into power after the kind of election results that we've seen on 9th February, would be a very fragile one. And you really don't know that the party supporting the coalition, the upcoming coalition, could move on to the other side, could move on to other political parties or independent members sitting in National Assembly, and it could fall and collapse at any time. So ultimately, this government will rest upon the confidence and being able to claim the confidence of a majority, of the required majority, of the simple majority with the National Assembly. And so I hope that is why I'm saying it with a lot of skepticism that the incoming government would be able to complete their 5 years tenure, because Pakistan really needs it after years of political, upheaval and very tumultuous period. I hope, hoping against hope.
Right. Thank you very much, Vinay, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. And Faisal, what is your opinion with regards to the kind of semblance of government that we have finally are seeing now as to what is going to be part of the government, and of course which parties are going to be there? Is this any way close to what you thought pre-election?
Yes, Sanai. Obviously, if you go through our programs, which even the sort of transmission, election transmission, we have been discussing this, and I had mentioned in there that of course, if Shehbaz Sharif is coming as Prime Minister, then of course the daughter of Mohammad Nawaz Sharif, Maryam Nawaz, would be actually going for the CM-ship, and obviously on the top. Earlier I maintained that either Zardari Saab himself or his sister Faryal Talpur, they would be, one of them would be president, but still we haven't got the assurance, and of course these things would be talked about by the committee they are going to form. All of the parties, they will be forming a committee very soon, and they will be deciding all of these things. But so far, of course, it was expected that as we know that Farokh has already been mentioning since long about the PDM2, and that PDM2 has actually coined, and they are coming to the Constitution Avenue, forming a government in the parliament, and of course for whatever the long time or short time, but they are coming into power.
Right, and Farokh, with of course now things being clearer with reference to the prime ministerial candidate and the president of the country as well, with of course Mr. Shehbaz Sharif and Mr. Zardari in these positions respectively, is this something that we've actually seen before happening in Pakistan with these major political parties, or anything similar of the sort happening with one a major party leader being the PM and another sitting in the president's seat, and how does that affect the strength of the government and how the government will be able to deal with the challenges that Pakistan is facing?
Right. I think that we briefly saw a similar kind of thing in 2013 when PMLN actually came into power and Asif Ali Zardari was the president at that time, but his stint was short-lived. Then he had to actually retire. Now he's coming back. I think that at this moment, because today, if you noticed in the protester, they mentioned Charter of Democracy and then reaching out to PTI also for national reconciliation. There's always a possibility that eventually you will be able to find some kind of center of gravity, so to speak, for the system. But I wanted to actually, we have mentioned the prime ministerial candidate, we have mentioned the chief minister of Punjab or nominee for that. Let me also tell you that other three provinces, nominees' names are also out. People's Party, which has numerical strength in Balochistan, has nominated Sarfraz Bukti as the chief minister. Then, PTI or PTI supported independents have actually nominated Ali Amin Gandapur for Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's, chief ministership. And Murad Ali Shah's name has been proposed for Sindh. Go Sindh. Right, but regarding overall situation, I think that this argument about Nawaz versus Shehbaz, whether to go for Shehbaz or Nawaz, that is an interesting debate. I understand that both are related. But Shehbaz Sharif has been there as a permanent political fixture for quite some time, even during General Pervez Musharraf's time, when Mian Nawaz Sharif was totally out of the system. At that time, he also still had chief ministership of Punjab. So one thing that I really, really despise, and this is what I was saying today in the morning as well to our radio station, that the scapegoating of Shehbaz Sharif from within the circles that are supportive of PMLN, because of course now there is another rising star, So they have to actually placate her and naturally always blame the other one. Otherwise, if you talk about 4 or 5 ministries that kept on doing their jobs during PDM's tenure, we know Foreign Ministry was doing brilliant job. We know the Environment or Climate Change Ministry was doing a great job. We know that the Prime Minister was doing an awesome job at that time also, because he in particularly the floods, and then regarding another thing that was important, IMF, a deal that had been totally spoiled by Sargdar Saab, and I think that today, if he's not going to be the candidate of chairman, chairman Senate, then perhaps he's going to come back as the finance minister. So I shouldn't be antagonizing him a lot, and I should apologize actually in advance. But honestly, he spoiled it, and the former prime minister and the upcoming prime minister, if that is to be, actually saved the day.
And one more thing, Sana, and obviously while we were talking about the Prime Minister's performance last time around, I think the way he dealt with the 9th May, whatever happened on 9th May, the culprits, the way he dealt with them, that was marvelous.
Right, that's all that we have time for. Thank you, Faisal, for joining us in the debate as always. We'll now see you tomorrow.